J.M. Barrie's Peter Pan. Wendy and her two brothers flew with Peter Pan for many days and nights before they saw the magic shores of the Netherland. 1,000,000 golden arrows pointed out the island to the children, all directed by their friend, the sun. But then the arrows disappeared, leaving the island in gloom, and the children felt afraid. Their progress had become very slow, as if they were pushing their way through hostile forces. Sometimes they hung in the air until Peter beat on it with his fists. "They don't want us to land," he said. "Who are they?" whispered Wendy. But Peter could not or would not explain. Tinker Bell flew round and round the children in a circle, and they were glad of her light, until Peter explained its drawback. "The pirates can see Tink's light, and if they guess we are near, they are sure to let fly with their big gun, Long Tom. Tink will have to travel in John's hat." Wendy took John's black top hat in her hand, and Tink jumped inside. Then the four children flew on in the stillest silence they had ever known. Suddenly, there was the most tremendous crash. The pirates had fired Long Tom at them. When at last the heavens were steady again, John and Michael found themselves alone in the darkness. Peter had been carried by the waves of the blast far out to sea, while Wendy had been blown upwards with the jealous Tinker Bell. The little fairy was not always bad, but she had hated Wendy from the moment Peter had given her his acorn button as a kiss. Now she popped out of the hat and began to lure Wendy to her destruction. Tired and bewildered, what else could Wendy do but follow Tink as she flitted back and forth? Far below, on the island, the 6 lost boys were out looking for Peter Pan. Not far behind them were the villainous pirates and their captain, the terrible James Hook. He lay in a chariot, hauled by his men, and instead of a right hand, he had an iron hook with which he encouraged them to move faster. On the trail of the pirates were the Redskins, led by the proud Princess Tiger Lily. They carried strings of pirate scalps. They, in turn, were pursued by wild beasts, lions, tigers, and bears, who tonight were very hungry. The lost boys were in the depths of the forest when they heard the pirates' grim song.
Yo-ho, the pirate life, the flag of skull and bones, a merry hour, a hemp and rope, and hey for Davy Jones.
The boys fled for the safety of their underground home as Hook commanded his men to scatter and look for them. All the pirates, except Smee, the boatswain, disappeared among the trees.
"The boy I want most of all," growled Hook, "is Peter Pan. 'Twas he cut off my right arm and flung it to the crocodile. That crocodile liked my arm so much that it has followed me ever since, licking its lips for the rest of me."
He sat down on a large mushroom.
"Smee, that crocodile would have had me before this, but by a lucky chance it swallowed a clock, which goes tick, tick inside it, and so before it can reach me, I hear the tick and I bolt. The fear that haunts me is that one day the clock will run down and the crocodile will get me."
Since sitting down, Hook had felt curiously warm.
"Smee," he said, "this seat is hot. Odds, bobs, hammer and tongs, I'm burning."
They examined the mushroom and tried to pull it up. It came away at once, and smoke began to rise. They had discovered the chimney of the lost boys' underground home. The pirates looked round for the entrance, and at last they noticed 7 large trees, each with a hole as big as a boy in its hollow trunk.
"I've been searching for the boy's home these many moons," said Hook. "I have a plan. We will return to the ship and cook a large, rich cake of a jolly thickness with green sugar on it. We will leave the cake on the shore of the Mermaid's Lagoon. These boys are always swimming about there. They will find the cake and gobble it up, because, having no mother, they don't know how dangerous it is to eat rich, damp cake. Ha ha ha! They will die."
"It's the wickedest, prettiest plan I ever heard," cried Smee. Just as they began to sing and dance, they were silenced by another sound. Tick, tick, tick.
"The crocodile!"
gasped Hook, and he bounded away, closely followed by Smee. The boys emerged into the open and looked up to see what they thought was a great white bird flying overhead. "Poor Wendy," they could hear it crying. But even more distinct was the shrill voice of Tinker Bell. "Peter wants you to shoot the Wendy bird." Only Tootles had his bow and arrow with him. "Out of the way, Tink!" he shouted. He fired an arrow, and Wendy fluttered to the ground. All the boys crowded round Wendy, and as they looked, a terrible silence fell upon the wood. "This is no bird," said Slightly. "I think it must be a lady." At this tragic moment, they heard a ringing crow, and Peter landed on the ground in front of them. "Great news, boys!" he cried. "I have at last brought a mother for you all. Have you not seen her?" Silently, the boys stood aside to show Wendy, lying on the ground with an arrow in her breast. Peter looked at her for some time and then pulled out the arrow. "She's dead," he said. "Whose arrow is this?" "It's mine," said Tootles desperately, falling onto his knees and baring his chest. "Strike, Peter! Strike true!" Peter raised the arrow to plunge it into Tootles, but at that moment Wendy raised her arm and murmured, "Poor Tootles." "She lives!" cried Peter. Then he knelt beside her and found his acorn button on the chain round her neck. "See," he said, "the arrow struck against this. It is the kiss I gave her. It has saved her life." The boys now had the problem of what to do with Wendy in her present delicate state of health. Peter said that they must build a little house around her, and they were soon scurrying this way and that, down for bedding and up for firewood. When John and Michael appeared, they too were ordered to hack and hew and carry. At last, when the house was really and truly finished, Peter knocked politely. The door opened, and out came Wendy, looking surprised. The boys went down on their knees and, holding out their arms, cried, "Oh, Wendy lady, be our mother." "I'm only a little girl," said Wendy, "and I have no real experience. But I'll do my best. Come inside at once, you naughty children. I'm sure your feet are damp, and before I put you to bed, I just have time to finish the story of Cinderella." Eventually, Wendy tucked up the boys in the great bed in the underground home. But she herself slept that night in the little house, and Peter kept watch outside. He stood with his sword drawn, for the pirates could be heard singing far away, and the wolves were on the prowl.